Excuses are for quitters. And in today's video, you're going to learn 7 ways to succeed in spite of failures, flaws, and fears. And I want you to use these strategies to become the person that you desire to become. Because success in any endeavor takes some self-confidence. Now, I've created the Instant Confident course as a way for me to deal with the butterflies in my stomach before I went on stage to present, and to calm down the anxiety I experienced before going into a networking event, because I'm kind of an introvert, and to transform me into the confident teacher you see in my videos and that you hear on my podcast. Now, you can get a copy of the mini course for $7 by going to nodoubtliving.com/instant confidence. For those of you who don't know, my name is Fortune. I'm the author of 3 books and a self-publishing strategist for established coaches and consultants who want to write a book and use that book to grow their business. I've created a proprietary method of getting your book out of your head in less than 4 hours using a phone and a few websites. This show teaches you how to do that and build the sales funnels to turn your leads into clients and customers. Now remember, you're only 1 book away from a breakthrough in your life or business. So let's talk about your thought fortune. All right, so for your notes, you may want to write this first statement down. Confidence can be borrowed, built, and boosted. The thing is, you determine how much you have. But you're only allotted a certain amount at birth. And then life it manipulates your self-confidence with a myriad of trials and challenges. You win, you lose, and through it all, you either grow or diminish. It's your choice. But maybe you didn't know that because you weren't taught resilience and a growth mindset, and that's okay. Know this though, you must take control of your self-confidence level, or someone else or something else will. And as Jim Rohn used to say, I love me some Jim Rohn, here's what he used to say about people, what they have in store for you. Not much. Because they're more interested in their own lives than yours. However, taking control of your self-confidence is possible because of the correlation between self-confidence and success. Now, a correlation does not equal a causation. Let me break down what I mean. Just because 2 factors correlate, it doesn't mean one causes the other. Correlation only identifies a relationship. In this case, the more success you have, the more confidence you have that you can succeed. And the best that we can tell as researchers and scientists is that the correlation between self-confidence and success becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I talked about self-fulfilling prophecy in a previous video on changing your internal story. And just as I said in that video, the self-fulfilling prophecy goes both ways. Meaning, if you don't believe you can do something, you'll probably take inefficient, ineffective, or subpar action, which will probably result in subpar results. Getting subpar results is going to reinforce the belief that you couldn't do it in the first place. And strengthening the belief you can't do something lowers your self-confidence, and vice versa. It happens both ways. Now, in this video, you're going to learn 7 ways to build your self-confidence starting right now. Now, here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to share 3 stories with you to show you what these strategies look like in my life. So I'll give you 2 strategies, then I'll share a story, and so on. And before we get started here's the first one. I'm going to make sure I give you everything the way I want to give it to you. Okay. The first one is beware of comfort zones that don't serve you. Okay. Beware of comfort zones that don't serve you. What I mean by this is that we all live in our own comfort zones. And the reason why we stay in the comfort zones is because it's comfortable. When you try to grow, when you try to become the next version of yourself, if you will, if you try to do something outside of your comfort zone, it becomes scary. It's stressful. It creates some type of anxiety. There's some level of fear in that. However, some comfort zones need to be stretched and to be broadened. So you have to look at what comfort zones are doing for you or doing against you. Okay? If a comfort zone is keeping you where you are, then it might be time to stretch. So beware of comfort zones that don't serve you. Number 2, choose your stories wisely. We talked about this in a previous video on internal stories. What are you saying to yourself? The self-talk that you are using is either growing yourself, your self-confidence, or it's shrinking. It's causing your self-confidence to become smaller. If you're talking negatively to yourself, telling you can't do something, of course, it's shrinking your self-confidence. If you're constantly telling yourself you can do this, I am an overcomer, I am an achiever, I am successful, I can be this, that positive affirmations, then yes, you're changing your story slowly. However, you still need to take action on the things that you're saying to yourself. So it does you some good to just use positive affirmations. However, you must back those positive affirmations up with action. So it speaks to growing outside of your comfort zones, but also speaking positively about what's going to happen, what's possible when you step outside of your comfort zones. Because we can get comfortable in, forgive my French, we can get comfortable in the shit. Some of you know what I'm talking about, where your life isn't going the way you wanted it to go or you would like for it to go, but you've been in the mess that you've been living in for so long, you're used to it, and stepping out of it and actually stepping into success is scary. However, we want to do that anyway. This is where self-confidence starts growing, especially when you're telling yourself positively, things are going to be better and you can succeed outside of that and stretching yourself. To give you an example of what this looks like, we'll talk about dating back in my early 20s. I had gone through a crazy relationship, or my relationship ended crazy. Let me just put it like it was. And the reason why it ended crazy is because my fiance got pregnant with somebody else and then broke off our engagement. Now, as a guy, and I've said this ever since this happened, we don't take those type of situations very well. It tends to be, we go to an extreme. And I went to a big extreme about how I was going to be, when I was going to get into my next relationship, what it was going to look like. And it was years before I would get into another relationship. And I also built up this self-story that said that I was never going to let another woman have control over me. So I wanted to become this master womanizer, if you will. It was my 20s, okay? So I wanted to be this womanizer. I wanted to be in control of the relationship. Not that I wanted to dominate women and have them do all this thing, but I just wanted to be in control of this relationship. So I went to a guru named David D'Angelo. He taught a course called Double Your Dating. Of course, that sounded awesome to me. However, what I learned in there was a lot of skills about how to become the man that was more attractive to the woman that I would like to be with. Okay, so I didn't even become a womanizer. I learned how to be a better man through this course, which is awesome in and of itself, but that's not what I went into it for. I just wanted to figure out how to stretch outside of my comfort zone and change the story that I was telling myself, which was that no woman was going to stay with me, that I wasn't good enough to keep a good woman, that I didn't even know how to talk to the right woman. So those stories were going through my head. Even though I was still dating, I was always dating women or just sleeping with women that were not right fit for me because they were easier. So it wasn't until I got to this course in my early 20s that I started learning how to become the man that would attract the woman that is best for me. Okay? Step out of my comfort zones by doing things like just saying hello to a beautiful woman or a successful woman. I found out she might be successful in her job or whatnot. That's proud and confident. I would start saying hello. And that might be the beginning of it, the end of it. And then I would say something else to the next woman, right? I would go a little bit further, and then I would go on a date with someone, and then I would So it evolved over time as I constantly continue to change my story, that I could attract a more suitable woman for my life. Okay? So we're gonna move on to number 3. Strategy number 3 is to have confidence, is that confidence is a product of achievement. Confidence is a product of achievement, meaning whatever successes you have towards a goal improves your chances of hitting your goal. This is the idea that even if you take half a step forward, that is success, that is an achievement, something that you must take notice of, because sometimes people that I meet, they don't acknowledge the small wins. Because it's not something that you want to put on social media. Oh my God, I hit my next 10,000 figure goal, or I sold so many books, or that I built this business, or I left my job. They forget those small successes, like I wrote the first paragraph of my book, or that I got my first client for $25, right? They don't acknowledge those small successes, and because they're not continuing to get all of the momentum that they could get from celebrating every piece of success, because all those wins. See, the research doesn't say that you have to have a big win to actually move your confidence forward. It says every success, no matter the size of it, helps move and improve your self-confidence. So confidence is a product of achievement. If you have a small win, a small achievement, you celebrate it. You acknowledge it. It's building your self-confidence. Strategy number 4, trust a failure you learn from over a success. What does that mean? Here's what I'm saying. Even though I just told you to celebrate your successes, here's the other side of that. When you fail, it is an opportunity for you to learn how to grow. It is an opportunity for you to course correct what you're doing. If you have a life full of just constant successes, you really haven't learned anything for the most part, because you're just doing what has been successful. When you have tried a bunch of stuff and failed at a bunch of stuff and finally figured out the pathway to go to your success, you have an extreme amount of confidence, because you've gone through a bunch of things and built up your confidence through pushing through that failure. It's called resilience. The idea that you're going to grow through all of your failures, through all of the ways that did not work, is going to build your confidence that you can succeed when you hit the next failure. So if you push through 7 failed experiments to try to grow your business, and you finally hit on the one that succeeded, when you have the next time you're going to grow your business, or the next product you're going to release, or the next client you're going to get in front of, you're going to be more confident that your course, or your coaching, your consulting, your services are going to be successful and get them some results, because you push through it and push through the failures, and you know what it looks like and what you don't need to do. You're more confident that you're going to take the right action today. Okay? You trust a failure you learn from over a success that you've had. Okay? And here's what this looks like. When I first got started in real estate several years ago, I was going through a program called the Enlightened Millionaire Institute. And through this program, they taught a bunch of different strategies on how to find clients. So I learned how to grab the newspaper and look for ads that were saying a house is for sale by owner, and call on those people and learn how to call those conversations. I learned how to go through the foreclosure ads and go down to the city county builder and finding homes that were in foreclosures and go knock on doors. There's nothing like learning from your success than going and knocking on the door to someone who is being forced out of their home and trying to tell them, I'm going to help you save your home, or at least help you get some money when you're leaving out here anyway, and getting doors slammed in your face. And then you go in and do it again. Getting cursed out and going and doing it again. Calling people on the phone for sale by owners, and they're trying to tell you whatever it is, their sob story, and they're going to do it better than you. They don't trust you. Who are you? All that type of jazz. And learning how to get better at those sales calls. Walking into multi-million-dollar deals with very sophisticated investors and business owners and trying to talk to them about how you're going to buy their property and they need to finance it and you have no clue how you're going to do it. All those little failures helped me be more successful when I finally started putting the pieces together. I did not stop. So on one piece, I got a little bit further in each conversation so that I could eventually close a deal. On the other side of that is I was constantly making bad calls, saying the wrong thing during those conversations until I finally figured out how to close deals and started closing multiple deal after deal after deal without having to put a bunch of money down or finding the right properties that I could grow from. Okay? So these two strategies here. Number 3, confidence is a product of achievement. And number 4, trust a failure you learn from over a success. Now, number 5, alter your ego using alter egos. It sounds kind of crazy. Alter your egos using alter egos. The thing is, I'm saying here is that your ego is part of the reason why you're afraid to go forward. Your ego is what's is attached to your self-confidence. Sometimes your ego is telling you to go do things because you're better, you believe you're better than you are. Okay, you're going to fail, but it's okay. Sometimes your ego is telling you you're smaller than you actually are, so you're not even going to succeed. Your ego is constantly playing this tug of war with your mindsets, with your belief systems, and with your actions. One way of overcoming this, and it's a strategy I love using, especially when I was out on the sports field, and also when I started creating these characters for myself when I started becoming a speaker. I created an alter ego called the Professor! And some of you have seen those videos from back in the day when I used to scream that out when I was transitioning into my speaking persona. Those different types of alter egos, and I have a video here on how to create your own alter ego. You definitely want to check that out if it's something that interests you. The alter ego is a way for you to step into a different persona that you want to become, but have not got there yet, by continuing to step into it and step into it and step into it and step into it, and now it becomes you. You take on the characteristics, you take on the personality, you take on the traits and the skills of that alter ego until you become the alter ego. Okay? This is one way of building your self-confidence because you're stepping out of yourself. This is kind of the idea of pretending to be or acting as if. However, you're intentionally creating that as if character until you embrace it by taking that persona over and over and over until you embrace it. Okay? Alter your ego using alter egos. Idea number 6, get with the winners. False comparisons create false companions. What do I mean right here? What I'm saying like this is that your parents have probably told you, or somebody's told you before, that the people that you are around are going to influence you. Might have heard it say it this way through personal development gurus who say, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And it is absolutely true. If you want to become a speaker, you need to start hanging around successful speakers. If you want to become a coach, start hanging around successful coaches. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're always in their physical presence. With the beauty of forums and Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups and all of these type of meetups and things of that nature, you can meet people virtually and constantly have conversations with individuals that are winners in the area that you want to be more successful in. Because what happens is if you're around people who are not succeeding, you can start comparing yourself to them, and now you're going to create false companions because you start getting comfortable with that group. Notice how all these are playing off each other. You start acting like that group. You start taking on the internal stories of that group, and they're affecting your achievements, and you start taking on their failures. Okay, you want to. And start behaving upon how they would act in face of failures. So you want to get around winners because winners know that they're going to fail on the way to winning. The winners know that it's going to take a lot of small achievements along the way in order to get that big achievement. Winners know that you have to stretch out of your comfort zone if you want to become better than where you currently are. Winners know that their internal dialogue affects their emotions and affects their behavior. So you want to get around the winners and start absorbing who they are. So get around people who are a level ahead of you or well ahead of you, and watch how they start bringing you up by your association with them. And here's where this came very true with me. This became evident with me in my recovery. Both of these came evident with me in my recovery. I wasn't very confident in that I could continue to succeed in my recovery, to stay clean, to stay on the right path towards growing into an individual God wanted me to become, right? So I started going to 12-step programs. I got around individuals who had the success in recovery. Not only did I go to 12-step programs, but I also started going to meetings at my church, right? Just because the people of the church some of them had overcome the recovery through these other spiritual principles, okay? So I was getting around these individuals, and the more I got around them, the more it started becoming true to me that I too could change. And I found this unique union in a book called the Life Recovery Bible. So it has some of the principles from my scripture that I grew up with, but also the recovery principles that I was using outside of church. And it was a marriage of the two, how they both connected to turn me into a better individual. Okay. Now, both of these together, I had to act as if I was someone who could succeed, because I didn't have the evidence at that time that I could succeed. I didn't have the evidence in my life that I could successfully complete some type of drug court and recovery program, because I had years of experience showing me that I would not succeed. But I had to act as what would someone who is in recovery act like? What would it be a recovering addict? What would they do in this situation? I would embrace that individual and get around other individuals who were successfully being in recovery, see what they were doing, some of the attributes, some of the skills, some of the characteristics, the personalities that they had that I wanted, and put those into the person I wanted to become. And I would take on that alter ego. Now, what that also sounds like is I wasn't being true to myself. On a level, it isn't. However, the other side of that is I wanted to become that individual. So some part of me knew that it was true for me. I just was blocking that part of who I was, and I needed to express it more. So, number 5 is alter your ego using alter egos. Number 6 is get with the winners, because your false comparisons create false companions. You want to get around the right people. Finally, we're going to get to number 7 here. Number 7 is don't judge, assess. It's all feedback. And I'm not going to give a real example here. I want to read here an excerpt from Unlimited Potential, How to Stop Living with Fear, Doubt, and Uncertainty. All right? This comes from a section of the book called Freedom Assigned Life Lessons. Freedom Assigned Life Lessons. Here's where it says, a good way to turn your failures into tools is to think of them as life lessons. Better yet, call them Freedom Assigned Life Lessons. F-A-L-L. Fall. When you fall forward, you will eventually find yourself falling into success. It'll happen seamlessly. People will look at your life and see your successes. They won't notice the scars that have formed from the battle. They'll forget how much time you put in missing engagements and festivities. They'll suck their teeth at the fact that you made it and they didn't. They'll call you lucky. And you can tell them they're right. You found a way to fall into success. You turned every failure into a moment that you could learn something from so that it didn't happen again. You tried things when you were afraid of the outcome. You attempted to change yourself, not knowing exactly how your life would turn out. You stayed in the game and adjusted your game plan accordingly. You called timeouts when others called it quits. And that's why you succeeded. Can you see that? Can you see yourself being successful? Wayne Dyer wrote a book entitled, You'll See It When You Believe It. That's a key to surviving your failures. You have to be able to see the future that you're striving to achieve. You stay in the game that way. You see your goal accomplished, and you refuse to allow some mistakes to stop you from realizing it. I hope that makes sense to you. Don't judge what's going on in your life. Assess it. Now, the difference between judging and assessing is when you judge something, you're making an opinion, and it's an emotional opinion. When you assess, you're looking at the facts and evaluating what the facts are telling you. So don't judge, assess, because it's all feedback. Grow through it. Now, these are the 7 ways to build your confidence that you learned today. There's strategies you can use to grow from so you can fall forward to success. I hope they've been beneficial to you. I hope you can use them. I got 2 things to say to you here at the end. Remember, you can purchase a copy of the Instant Confidence course. It's a 5-part Instant Confidence course that you can use to get immediate boost of confidence when you're about to go on stage or to go into a networking event. You're going to take a sales call. Any moment that you need to try to get a little bit of, overcome your anxiety, your fears, and become and show up as your most confident self. There's 5-part strategy. You got teaching here. $7 to get this course. It's at nodoubtliving.com/instant confidence. Go grab that course. It'll do wonders for you. Okay. Second thing is, I like to know which of the 7 ways that you learned today in this video that you're going to try. Just go ahead and leave me a comment below. Tell me which strategy that you're going to try. Okay, I'd love to hear from you. That being said, you can be, you can do, you can have anything you want in this world. You've just got to believe. You can live a life of no doubts, just blessings, and I will show you how. Keep on coming back here for all you no doubters, all right? All you no doubters. Always remember, again, that you're 1 book away from the next breakthrough in your life or in your business. So go out there and make life happen every day. God bless. And I'll talk to you next time.